Good evening, everyone, and welcome to BT's Fly Tying Friday. Tonight, the 13th of March, 2026, you're going to be stuck with us. And we're just going to demonstrate a couple of flies and show you how to display them. Nothing fancy, just another way of having fun. The weekly tip, well, we're going to talk about some display options. We're the Beattys from Boise, Idaho, and my lovely wife is going to start this evening. Our program tonight is twofold. Of course, we're going to talk about displaying. In fact, here's one way of displaying flies that we'll be talking about. Just putting them in a nice little frame where they can be set up in front of a window, or in this case, in front of a tank with water in it, and or wherever. But anyway, that's just one option. But there'll be some other options. But our twofold reason tonight is number one, the patterns we're going to share with you have a very important feature when it comes to fishability. You'll find out real quick. In fact, I'll start out Gretchen's presentation with her fly, and you might be able to figure out what the option might be by looking at the title. The fan wing spruce fly. And Gretch, you got it.
Well, first of all, been fighting laryngitis today, so if at some point I can't talk, Al will talk for me, which is a very dangerous thing to do.
That'll be fun, you're rest assured.
Okay, I'm going to be tying this actually on a 2x 6, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Size 6. And I'll be using black thread, peacock herl for the tail. The body's going to be red floss, and it's actually that stretchy nylon. And peacock herl. There's an optional rib, but I'm not going to be putting that on because the way I'm going to be displaying it, I'm not sure a rib would work out really good. Brown hackle, wing is squirrel tail, and the thread head. The first thing I want to do is talk about the materials a little bit. And I've had a very frustrating couple of hours this week because I was using this tail and I decided the fibers were too long. It's a nice, well-used tail. And so I thought, well, this is a nice little shorter tail, and it's a kind of an immature squirrel tail, very soft. But one of the things I discovered is the way I fan the wing, this did not work. And it took me a while to figure out that it was the material. So I went back to using this bedraggled tail that we've used a lot. So I think I'll talk about the display after I tie the fly. What do you think?
That sounds like a good idea.
So I'll just set this over here. So I've got the tail. I've got some peacock here, some brown hackle for the throat, and my thread. So I guess I'm ready to go.
Sounds like a plan, dear.
I'm going to start out using the red stretchy nylon. I've got a cough drop in my mouth so that I can talk. So I hope it's not too annoying. So I'm going to start right here to indicate where I want to kind of get ready to stop with the peacock. And we're just going to do a nice little base wrap. And I'll get my scissors. Trim that off. And get my glasses down here so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, I've already selected some peacock for the tail. And the reason I selected this before we got started is because the peacock that we have was picked up off of the ground after it was moted from a friend's peacocks. So as a result, you're going to find stuff like this every once in a while. And you don't want that in the tail. It's perfectly good for doing the body, but it is not good for the tail. So I've got about 4 strands here, and I want this to be just a little bit bigger longer than the gap. Now, this is what I'm going to use for the body, and it's in my way, so I'm going to trim it off. Set this in place. Now, as I am attaching the tailing material, I will also be doing the red part of the body and trying to get this as nice and smooth as I want. Another thing that I discovered while doing this is that I want the peacock to be under the red floss, because if I cut it off down here, then I have a big bump in my body. You wouldn't think that peacock would make that much difference. So now I'm going to go back over this and put my wraps one right after the other, filling in where I have spots showing through to get a nice smooth application. Now the body, I had to look this up because I started making it 50-50, 50% the red and 50% the peacock. And then as I looked at the pattern online, and then I remembered, oh no, it's about 2/3, 1/3. So I'm going to stop right there and get my black thread. There we go. Trim off the red and the excess black. Be sure I always pull out plenty so I can then take my O-ring and put it over so that I don't come unthreaded. Yep. For some reason, it's hard to do with the scissors in my hand. There we go. All right. So now the peacock is going to go to about here, I think. So we'll go back and start here. And I'm just going to use what's left over from the tail material. And I'll tie the rest of these in. Oh, maybe just a couple of them is probably plenty. And I'll tie them in at the butts. Yeah, that's a little. Get rid of some of that stiff. All right. Just wrap this. Each wrap. And notice as you come around, I just automatically move my hand this direction. And that helps me keep those wraps tight against each other, so I don't have any gapes in my body material. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see now. I want to do the, what did I do next?
Well, I think it's next you want to put on the hackle there, sweetheart.
That's, oh, you mean the throat, huh?
Yep.
I think so. I really don't want to do this. This is the problem. Here we go. So I kind of struggled a little bit with how long I wanted that. And I was making it go clear back to the point. And then I decided that that was a little long. So I think this is going to be about the right length. So I'm going to tie it in at the tip. But first, what we need to do is, and I don't know where to attach this on your vise. So maybe I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to temporarily attach it to my hook. How's that? All right. Now I'm going to fold this just a little bit. It just lays better if you fold it. It's not critical, but I find it works better. Okay, that's enough of that. There we go. Cut off the tip, and then I'm going to cut off some bare stem here to tie down. You know, I've got some wily fibers there, so we'll just get rid of them. I have plenty of hackle here. There's no reason to fight it. Okay, we'll tie this in. Get rid of this extra hair. Even though you fold hackle, you kind of need to dress it as you're wrapping it. And I'm finding about 3. You know, this is not real great hackle. Maybe I'll go 4. That's plenty. Well, there's a couple of ways you can do this at this point. You can trim the stuff off the top, or you can try dividing it and pulling it down. So if you look at this, I don't have enough fibers here. So I'm going to have to divide it. Pull it down. Then I wrap over it. Come on there. Do what you're supposed to do. Yep. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If something doesn't cooperate, that's what scissors are for. Because I've got plenty of fibers there now. Clean that up a little bit. Okay. Now that might be a little long, but I think it's okay. So now I'm going to get the squirrel. Another thing that I found I was doing, you have to be really careful with squirrel. If you get too much of it, it really gets bulky when you tie it on. So I was taking about that much. That's way too much. So let's get her down to about like that. And just like all animals, there is some stuff here, as you can see, that we want to get rid of. So I'm going to go over here to the bin and clean this out really good. Another thing I like to do is to kind of, you see some of that short stuff there? I still have some of that left, so I'm going to take hold with the very tips and just dress that out like that. So that's looking really good. I don't have my stacker.
Oh, okay, just a minute, I'll find it for you.
It's up there at the top. Yeah.
Okay.
I would want to use your stacker after all, you know. It doesn't take much to stack that stuff. It's pretty easy. So there we go. Now I want this to go, just about to the bend. is about where I like it. I tried one clear out here and it just was a little too much wing. So I'm going to put it right about there. And the other thing about this is if I just wrap it, look at how it slips down. So when you tie this on, you need to pull this direction, pull towards the back. And that way it keeps it from sliding too bad. So just take about 3 wraps. I'm going to get in here and hopefully trim that off. So I've got a nice beveled platform. I need to pull my glasses down. Now, this would be okay, but what we like to do at this point now is fan this wing. So there's a point right here that's the pull point, and that's right here at the start of where the butt ends are. And I'm going to bring it around behind and then kind of pull on it a bit. That's bringing it up a little bit. Now I'm going to take a little bit more. Let's bring this around. Pull.
Notice she has to pull from that area right up next to the eye to get the right angle to get that thing to fan out just right.
Now I'm going to come in from a different direction because the thread torque will kind of make your wing a little crooked if you don't. So I like to go 2 different directions. So there we go. Now, one of the things that often happens when you do this is you'll get some wild hairs. It's just one of those things. So I'm not real fussy about that. I just get a hold of them and get rid of them. So there. Let's see, I'm pretty even. There we've got a fan wing. So now let's just go ahead and finish this fly. Yeah, I see I've got those I didn't get trimmed off quite short enough. That's better. I'm going to work a little bit on this head. One of the things is when you do this, you're going to end up with a little bigger head. There's just no doubt about it.
One of the prices you pay for getting the fan wing, because that fan wing really works in the current well. So much better than just a clump of whatever kind of hair you're using. I'll be using a different hair here in a few minutes.
So I'm going to end my wraps right back here so that I can do a proper whip finish. I'll reach over here and get my whip finish tool.
And to answer Mike Kelly's question, it's a fan wing spruce fly. And it's our version of it. When we started tying when we were in Montana, we also tied it with not a bullet head, but with a bead head. And this is way back when beads first started showing up in the US in the early 90s. And if bullet heads were available for the heads, we weren't aware of it. But now you can get bullet heads instead of having to do bead heads. But
so there's our fan wing.
We tied a lot of the ones with bead heads for the River's Edge Fly Shop. It was a really good bank pounding fly.
Yeah.
Any questions there for Gretchen?
Gretchen, I've got a quick question. Do you glue that head? And if so, what do you use?
And right now I'm using a little bit of the Griffin's head cement that we have left. And I like it because it's pretty runny, not real gooey, and it soaks in nicely. So that's what I generally use. I haven't gotten into using some of the other stuff. When I run out of Griffin's, I guess I'll have to go to something else.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Griff's, and it's a shame it's gone.
Yeah, we tied with it for so many years. That's just what I use. Oh.
Yeah, but I was just getting the camera set right.
Okay, any more questions?
And if I didn't do a good job, Mike Kelly, it was the fan wing spruce fly.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about one of the reasons that we did this fly is because it's kind of flat instead of doing a dry fly. And that is for how we will display it. So if you come over here to the materials, first thing I'll show you is one that I did earlier today.
You want to lay that down?
I can lay it down carefully.
And let me kind of zoom in on it just a bit.
So I put some little rocks that I got it and some fake greenery in there from Michael's and a fly. And then in order to kind of suck that in, we hit it with a hair dryer. So this one, however, this takes a little futzing around to do. So instead of doing that, I'm going to do a simpler one. And this is the way this works. Let's see if I can get this. Push. I don't know, Al.
Here, let me open it up for you, Gretchen. It's coming back over here. What we need to do is to show you that on the end here, there's a little notch that you push into to open it up. And it opens up like a book, and you've got plastic here and plastic here, and then everything gets sandwiched between them. It's a coin display item, but we found that if you're a commercial fly tyer, let me guarantee you won't have any money, so you don't have to display any coins anywhere. Your dyed flies for commercially is a good way to go broke, but that's all right. We enjoy the heck out of it.
So anyway,
back over here, Gretchen is. You want to move that forward just a little bit, Gretchen? You're out of the frame.
Where'd you get the frame?
Go.
We're going to give you that here in just a minute. In fact, while Gretchen's doing that, I'll go and get that onto the chat.
So we just put this here and get it even. One of the things is, see how close I've got this here on the edge? Whoops. That's too close to the edge and it won't close. So I have to move this up. So it's just maybe 1/8 away from the edge. And get this guy like this.
And now if you look in the chat, you'll find some Amazon links there, and it'll be for several things that we're going to be showing tonight. One of them is the display stands that you're seeing right there that Gretchen's putting together.
There we go.
And there's tonight's fly displayed, ready to go. And that will wiggle around in there a little bit. Or if you drop that on the floor, and Gretchen, let's go to the.
Oops! Oh, see, I did. Now I got it crooked.
Okay. Well, do you want me to pop that open so you can straighten it out?
I just wanted to show them I could make it crooked.
Oh, okay. Hold that.
Pop that open.
I'll pop that open for you.
Let me show them another way.
Okay, there you go. And
another way to do it, which I think is kind of nice, is to go like this and just put just a single fly straight across catty corner. And I think that looks kind of cool.
That looks very cool, especially if you're just going to hang it on the wall with maybe as a centerpiece and then some other ones around like that. So you kind of make a display on the wall
and then
of several
stands. We stick it in.
Yeah, we got one of those coming up here in a minute. In fact, if you look at this one right here, that one out there is in a stand. And some of them come with stands and some don't. You'll just have to look when you're looking at the link in Amazon as whether it includes a stand or it doesn't include a stand.
Okay, take my toys and go home.
Okay, great. Then I will bring my stuff in. And we'll take a moment to change around, folks. Okay, I'm going to start by setting a hook in the vise. All right, and to reach over to the materials area and grab my.
Do you want to do the pattern?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, Gretch. Why don't you swing it over to the pattern and I'll grab these two items right here. Okay, this is the fan wing streamer. Very, shall we say, it's a design fly more than anything else you'll see as we go along, that it is. Anyway, we're gonna be tying with a wet fly and I'm gonna be using a size 6 2X long. Black thread. The tail is optional. I won't be putting one on tonight. The rib is sewing tinsel. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. The body is floss like Gretchen. I'll be using the stretch nylon. The hackle is brown. The wing is calf or bucktail, and it's going to be fanned, and the head will be thread. All right, I've already gotten most of my stuff over, but this is the item that's going to be my tinsel. And this is a spool of thread from the sewing store. And I've shared it with you all in the past, but we'll take that over and we'll show you how that's going to actually be providing the rib and some of the other parts of the bod. Anyway, I'll set that over here. And I'm going to start by attaching my black thread. Oh, a little ways, a couple of eye widths back, I guess, is what you'd say. In fact, I think I'll change my mind and do this just a little bit different. I forgot which pattern I was doing here tonight. I'll take the black off and I'll start out with my floss.
Yeah, that just works so good.
Yeah, it works so much better that way. I was going to do it one way, but this way is a little faster. It works a little bit better. Trim that out. Now I'm going to take my tinsel. It's on a bobbin. I'm just going to pull it into place here. Work it around there so it's got a couple of wraps around it. And now I'm just going to tighten up and start wrapping. And I'm going to allow the weight of the bobbin hanging to position the tinsel directly on the bottom of the hook. And I'll just wrap to the back. The weight of the tinsel creates touching turns on the floss, and it will end up also providing a rib when we get to that point. And I'm just about to the end of the shank. Turn around, and on the return trip, of course, I'm going to have to be a little more careful about the touching turns because I don't have the weight of the tinsel bobbin keeping things tight, but I'm still able to keep them pretty close together. And we'll wrap forward back to where we tied the tinsel in the first place. And just stop right there real quick. Trim off the waist tinsel, which is really a thread. It's a embroidery thread. And I'll just whip finish this floss and tie it off.
I have to check my sewing thread. He's taken several of my.
I would never do that here. And I'll just trim off the waist, set that aside. And now it's time to put on the rib. And on the body like this, I like to have 8 or 9 turns of ribbing material. You can see using a bobbin to put it on, it makes it pretty easy to do, and it's pretty fast. Now I'll just switch over to my black thread and tie that off. Do another one. Finish tying off. Trim away the waist. And now that gives us our body with the wrap tinsel rib. Cut. It's like I nicked it there. I
Got a little thing hanging.
got a fuzzy showing up right there. I wonder if I can get by with a flame to put it.
No, I wouldn't.
You don't think I should do that? Oh, okay.
I don't want to do that.
All right, dear. Well, let's go back over to the materials area.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get over here to the materials area now and grab a feather and come back to the hook. And I'm going to do different than Gretchen did. See, back in the day when I learned to tie flies, I had a kit that I got from Herders, and it had, I think, a line drawing for 3 flies and very few instructions. And so it showed hackle wrapped on the hook, and it was a line drawing at that, and it didn't say anything about tying on by the tip or the base or anything. And so I tied it on by the base, and for years and years and years, I tied all my hackle collars this way. And yeah, I know it's probably not the way it's supposed to be done, but well, I did it for years, and it seemed to work. And I got by with it. However, now I do it both ways. After I got involved with the Federation in the early '80s, and I learned a whole bunch of things that I didn't know that I learned from all the great fly tyers in the Federation, and now Fly Fishers International.
Still hard to call it that. I keep calling it the
It's
Federation.
been the Federation so much, I have a hard time. So just bear with me. I'm an old guy that doesn't accept change very well, I guess you could say. Now I'll just pull that down and get a little couple of wraps in there just to hobble some of those barbs. Trim off the ones that don't want to get with the program. And because the main thing that we want, that we found on displaying these flies, and the one that we're talking about tonight, the little square flat display item, is it's really important to have the fly that's pretty flat. I've tried doing like let's say a humpy. It's got a lot of dimension to it. Does not work real well. I can tell you that right now. So anyway, we'll just get that trimmed out of there. And now let's get back over to the materials area and take a look at my, oh yeah, take a look at the hair. And I think I'll just, rather than take that whole tail over there, I'm just going to cut a piece of this hair out. Get back over to the vise. And I'm going to have to get rid of some waste. And the reason I'm using this particular calf tail is it doesn't stack real well for hair wings. But I don't much care about that because we're going to be doing something different tonight as far as for this wing. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of the garbage, get some of the shorter items, put them there, and just got rid of a bunch of trash. Just kind of even things up by hand as the best I can before I ever put it in the stacker. Because I don't want it stacked real well. In fact, last week we learned from Dick Shaw how to make kind of a shaped version, but I'm going back to my old way of doing it, which is just kind of get it more or less evened up a little bit and then stick it in the stacker to finish up. And I forgot my stacker, so I'll just slip over here and get it. There we go. Now we just give it a couple of taps. Well, I'm tapping it pretty hard the way it's jiggling that fly. That's oh boy, that's some extra motion right there with the presentation, folks, and no extra charge either. Now I'm just going to get some of these shorties out of here. Now the fan wing, we made the fan wing specifically at first with calf tail because we were able to use some calf tail that didn't stack real well. And what it does in the water is phenomenal. I'm going to trim off the waste and just tie this in place. And I want you to notice that I just tied it in place extra long. And now I'm going to kind of pull back on it just a little bit so I can cinch down and finish up. Now, that wing kind of sticks together. And I really want to get the motion out of it. And it will wiggle in the water a little bit just like it is. But if I get it fanned up really, really well, it will have a lot of motion in the water when the wing is shaped like that. And that's what we're going to do right now. Now I'm going to get forward here. In fact, I'm going to throw a half hitch just to kind of help me. Because I call this the pull point right here at the front. You need to keep the angle of the looped thread through the hair at a fairly low angle and out in front. If you do it right up next to the base of the wing, I'll show you here in just a sec. I'll pull that up. If you do your pulling from this point where my thread is right now, right up next to the base of the wing, pulls it off to the side. And I want it to be opened, fanned open, not pulled to the side.
Well, even at that, I have to watch it really
Oh yeah,
carefully.
you got to be real careful about it. And of course, we learned these back in the day before UV glue came along. And of course, there's a lot you can do with UV glue to fan it out too. You can just fan it out and put the UV glue in there. But also, in case you're interested, and I'm just throwing this on. Okay, I'm going to do this one more time here. So that's got it's really opened up. The fan is really opened up there. Okay, good. Now, another thing, strictly, and as an aside from what we normally do, I want to, it's also possible to take this same general design idea and fan it so it's up straight for dry fly wings. You know, I haven't got this quite set up for that, but you can do that. But this is all set up for the streamer, and it's fanned out just about the way I want it. It'll really work nice in the water. And we'll just go ahead and tie that off. And we'll just set that down just like that. And let's take a look at this guide. You can see what the goal I was going for is to really open that up so that can work in the water. And not only does it work up and down, but when you open it up like that, it works side to side as well. It just kind of swims in the water more like marabou than you would think. But anyhow, we'll set that aside. Before we go any further, is there any questions on that? No questions. Okay. All right. Off to the materials area we go then.
I love that
Because I'm gonna
technique of fanning that wing, Al. I've never seen that done before like that.
Okay, well, that's something you can do with a lot of hair, John. It's any hair that doesn't automatically have really great motion and very, very little really stiff guard hair type stuff does have good motion in the water. It provides more of a profile, but if you want profile and motion, you just open it up so the current can get to it.
Yeah, I'm going to use that technique on the flies I tie for CFR and spread that wing out a little bit more, make it a little more fan-like.
Very, very doable. And there's a lot of other, I mean, bucktail works really well too. Bucktail tends to swim a little bit better than like calftail does. I think it's because it's applied a little bit longer.
I use it with poly too.
Okay, I've never done it with poly that I remember.
When I do a trude,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, poly wing on the trude. Yeah, you do, and that's just to make them lift the wing a little
lift the
bit.
wing away
Yeah,
from the
rather
body.
than fan it out, you use that same concept to lift the wing and position it the way you want above the body, rather than sometime on trude flies, the dry fly, it covers up the body almost completely. And what you want to do is have your wings slightly up above so that the color of the body is visible from the side.
So Gretchen, you use poly on trudes for the wing?
Yeah, we've got a whole book on just using poly to replace some of the more difficult hair.
The thing about poly on a trude is I put it in 2 clumps.
Okay.
because it doesn't compress like hair. So you
Yeah.
have to kind of put it in two clumps so you can get a nice smooth platform for your hackle. That's the critical issue there.
Yeah, I like that because it comes in a lot of different colors, which I'm finding hard to find for,
Yeah.
bucktail or calftail.
But it's, it's fine for your own fish and stuff, but if you tie it for customers, of course, you'll have to get their permission for it, or if you're tying for a contest or something, you're gonna have to follow whatever the recipe calls
Yeah.
for. But if you're just going for fishing flies, poly can be used in place on a lot of dry flies. Like I said, we got a whole book on just that. Any other questions before we go on? Okay, well, I'm gonna move back over to the materials, and I'm gonna get some of this stuff out of here, because I've got some stuff that I already prepared following the same general concept as before. Now, this fly right here is one that I tied tonight. It's the same thing, and I've got it tied to different stages. And in fact, I'm going to take and set all this down. There's the completed fly. And there we go. Okay, it's all the different stages. I'll set the rest of this aside for a moment till I get to it. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take one of these and pop it open. And then I'm going to come back over here to materials area and start putting together my flies in steps. It'll be a frame picture of a fly that I've done in steps. Let me see. Maybe I'll do it on a diagonal. See what I think of that. I haven't tried this before. It was just an idea that I had. So we'll give it a go and see what we think. Okay, well, there's that going in there. Now let's get the other step. Right. And here's another step. That in that corner. And the step just before the wing. We'll put that down here. So step 1, 2, 3, 4. And a completed fly. Let's see now. Let's see if I got all the materials out of the way of the hinges and everything. And I can see where I made a mistake. I think I'll take a moment and trim off some of my excess
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got-
materials. It's at the time I thought I would want to show that I was using materials, and it was a step-by-step fly process. And I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to trim off those materials and keep that a little bit not quite so busy. Here's one. I'll just cut that guy off. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Get these all the way I want them. I learned something else too. I've got this plastic pointer that I use for pointing at things. One of the things that doesn't work worth a darn is a pair of tweezers that is slightly magnetized, and you're trying to push this around, and the tweezers keep sticking to it. So the plastic thing is really nice for moving things around. And how did I learn about the tweezers? Well, you can figure it out. All right, well, there we go with a step-by-step put together. That you can hang on the wall or whatever. But one of the things that I want to do so it doesn't keep shifting around on me is we'll get out the hair dryer. We're going to kind of shrink that that stuff together.
Al, have you thought about putting a piece of colored cardboard behind it?
Yeah, you can do that, but this way it's visible from both directions. If you want to do
Yeah.
the colored cardboard, you can do that. You can put it like as an example. This one right here
Tissue would be
is
good.
is up against a tank with water and in a video behind it. So there's all different things that you can do with it. But whatever you do with it, you probably don't want it moving around.
Tissue would be good because it's pretty thin.
That plastic is heat shrinkable, huh?
Okay, and now there's the finished product, and it's kind of sucked it all together so it doesn't. Or maybe it'll show better if we go over here to the materials area, Gretch.
Way cool.
Anyway, so that's just one thing you can do. I'll shove all this stuff aside.
Somebody wanted to know about the hackle pliers, which hackle, oh, the ones that he's got
Yes, on the table.
on the materials table.
Yes,
Wants to know
ma'am.
what kind of hackle pliers those are on your materials table. Al.
You can't get them. They're not available. It was a product that we tested, and there were several things we didn't like about it. And I have a dozen of them, and I use them for holding materials. They're pretty good for that. They're not worth a darn as hackle pliers, so they're not available. Nice looking, but they're good for holding materials, but they're not good for holding hackle. Anyway, set that aside. We got one other thing that I wanted to had an idea for, and that was to
Mike says they're made of obtanium, unobtainium.
unobtainium. That is exactly right, unobtainium. Now, there's another process that we can go through here, folks, and I'll chat about that here for a minute. We're going to use Mike Kelly as a guinea pig tonight. I'm popping this open. Okay, now it's open. Because what I'm going to do now, instead of doing a step-by-step, we're going to do a materials list. And so the hook and the thread go right there. And let's see, the next thing that goes on is the hair. That's a little bit too long. I'll cut that off. Going to be the hair and the tint and the floss, because Mike Kelly tied a fly and sent it to me, and I just loved it so much. It was a pot fly. I'm going to have to trim that hair a little bit more. But that's all right. On pot flies, you trim the hackle anyway. It don't make any difference. So that's the second step. And then you weave a hackle. I got a woven hackle here, so I'm going to put that over in this other corner. And this absolutely gorgeous sandy mite that Mike Kelly tied for me and sent is going right there in the bottom corner. So let's just get everything straightened around here now. Bring it down, snap it together. And there it is, a Mike Kelly sandy mite from Idaho to you all. And it's not in step-by-steps, it's in the material list. Hook, hair, floss, woven hackle. And Mike Kelly, good job on that sandy mite. I'm going to set that back over here at the materials area. Set those two side by side. See, you'll bring this down and take a closer look at them. But anyway, that's just some of the stuff that you can do with it. Playing around now, let's go in another direction. What if you want to do flies with more dimension? Well, this is a This is the dome that I made back in, I think it was 80 or 81. Let's get over
All
here.
right. I'm gonna disagree with you. I think you made that in the 90s.
Okay, maybe I did do it in the 90s. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Anyway, that's a dome. And if you're going to do flies with more dimension, like dry flies, you can put them in a dome like that. And that is another good way to share your flies if you wish. And anyway, before we go any further, we have in the chat the links to all of that stuff. And I've got one other thing that I wanted to talk about. It's been driving me nuts. I ran across this deal on Amazon. And here it is. We'll take a close-up look at it here in a minute. And these were called mini clips. And I said, boy, that looks cool. The picture looked cool. I don't know what to do with them, but I'm going to ask you all for help. And don't shout out at me, do this, do that. Have you thought about this? Send me emails because I forget. If I don't write stuff down, I'm going to show it right now. Let's get into the device. Let's move the fly out of here.
Go.
Yeah, let's see. Let me just. Well, let's.
No, that's
Okay, here is. This is a little. I don't know how we can show that. This is the clip, and it. You know, you can pinch it, and it opens and pinches and closes. It's pretty strong.
But it is tiny. Hold up something next to it so they can get
Well,
it.
here's the fly that I just tied, just to give you an idea. There's a.
That's a size 6.
That's a size 6.
2X.
Yeah, size 6 2X. So you can see that little clip, darn nice. I get 5 of them in a bunch, but I have no idea what to do with it. I had something else in mind, and of course they're a little bit small for that. I was going to use
It's a bead clip. It's a bead clip for holding beads.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. That's a thought. Anyway, I'll just put that into the vise like that. We'll leave it there. Let you all keep a look at it for a moment. It's now time in the program when all of you share with all of us. And we're going to start tonight.
There's Gretchen's fly.
Beautiful.
Whoops.
Didn't that turn out good? Oh my God, yes. Love that.
Nice.
Love that, Evelyn. Yes.
Okay,
That's
thank
great.
you. And then here's yours. Whoops.
Another good one. It's hard to blend a white wing in with a white page, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Tell me.
I should be more. I should have done a black wing
There
on
we
it. That's what
go.
I should have done. Yep, I should have. Thank you, Evelyn. Now, another thing, I asked Eric Austin to take a look at something for me. Eric looked at some
Sure.
graphite stuff for his lubrication for
Yeah.
his vise, and then some glue. So, Eric, why don't you talk to us about that?
All right. Yeah, let me just show you the graphite stuff here. Let's see. Put it in front of my face and you'll be able to
There
see
you
it.
go.
It's this lock, it's used by locksmiths, for instance, very fine powdered graphite. The first thing I can say about this is it gets everywhere if you don't know what you're doing. I didn't. But I was having a problem with my vise. If I put pressure upwards on a hook, the shank would just tilt up, and it seemed like if I wanted to try to tighten it up, it would just make kind of a grinding noise. Kind of scared me. And Al sent me this stuff to deal with the problem. Well, I was nervous about it, I gotta say. And so I went on the Dynaking site, And they suggested using this lithium grease, which I'd used in the past. And so I ordered some up. And here's what I got. This is Mobile Grease XHP 222. It's this big. It's used apparently if you want to grease a car. You know, if you're working on your car and the axle needs some grease. So at that point, I said, Al knows what he's doing. I'm going with the graphite. I'm not. And I honestly couldn't believe it was going to work. I'll be honest, but I first of all cleaned. You know, I removed the jaws and cleaned them and cleaned the barrel and cleaned everything really well. And then I just sprayed some of that graphite in there in the barrel and around the collet and so forth. And I couldn't believe it. My vise now just holds the hook like a rock. And it's super smooth. Like I can really tighten it up and it still is easy to work. So I was just thrilled with this. This has plagued me for at least 10 years. And I went so far at one point as to buy new jaws for the vise. And that really didn't help. But Al's graphite really did the trick for me. So I'm not, it's not like I'm sitting here recommending, because long term, I don't know, but, and Al can speak to that, but it made my vise work smooth as silk.
The only thing I would recommend, Eric, and everyone, be very careful with that stuff, because if it gets inside computers, it's graphite and it will short things out.
Oh, it's metal, and I sprayed it everywhere around here, and it's like I'm lucky to be on tonight.
By the way,
The other thing he wanted me to check out was
short out your brain.
This is fabric fusion, okay, and the idea is you use this for Carrie Stevens streamers, and I went ahead and tied a streamer with this stuff, and show it to you here. That's a Gray Ghost and classic streamer. And here's what I have to say about this. And the streamer came out fine. I'm happy with it. And this product really has some advantages over rubber cement. It also has, in my view, a major disadvantage. The advantages are it's super, this applicator on this thing, super easy to apply, super easy to deal with, as opposed to rubber cement, where you got, you're using bodkin to put it on stuff. And but rubber cement, what I like about it is it dries very quickly. I'm not going to say instantly, but you can put a thin layer on each piece that you're trying to glue together, and just let it dry a little bit. Then you put them together, and man, they're together like a rock. Fabric fusion, on the other hand, is it's about the consistency of rubber cement, but it's not sticky when you first apply it. So the stuff doesn't stick together. You have to clamp it or hold it or something for a period of time. And I didn't like that aspect of fabric fusion. So I ordered up some quick dry fabric fusion. And the reason I just have a small tube of this is like $5. If I get if I get the quick dry version of this, it's $17. So I got the cheaper option just to test it. And so far, and it just came, actually, it came this evening. And so I've only had a chance to test it on this pair of feathers here. Hang on, let me show you. And these two feathers went together pretty well. I put some of this stuff on just the stem and then put the two stems together. And within a very short period of time, it was pretty solid. I didn't even go up into here at all. That's the other thing. You will get some discoloration. Now, the jungle cock hides it if you do it right. You know, you just want to apply stuff along the stem as you're putting these pieces together. But I really like the quick dry stuff, and it's so much easier to use than rubber cement. I'll probably, in my own case, I'll probably switch over to it. I'm going to do some more playing this week.
All right.
But that's
good
all I've
information,
got.
Larry. Hey, but thank you so much for the report and all the going further than just giving it a test. You went and tried some other stuff, and you've got something that didn't work and something that works even better. So this is wonderful.
Okay, yesterday Bill Klumper was tying a really nice fly, and I've got hand tremors like he did, and I would have trouble with the 4 beads. And I thought, what could I do? And what I did was, as I put the beads on loose and adjusted the spacing with thread to see if I could do it that way. And then I thought another method would be to, when you put your wire in, tie it at this end with the wire hanging down below, and then use the wire to space the beads while they're loose and get the even.
Looks good.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
I bought these over at Harbor Freight, and they're stout little clamps, and I hold them. I use them to hold everything. You can get about 25 of them for $2.
Oh, wow.
So I got a
Excellent
sack
tip.
full of.
I
Yeah.
can, I could use that quilting. I like those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Harbor
they're.
Freight.
Well, you can see how big they are. They're not very big, and they've got little rubber grippers on them.
Nope.
That are,
That's it for now, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.